Hi, I'm Randy Robison. Welcome to Life Today, this special digital edition. I'm here with the pastor of Dream City Church in Phoenix, Arizona, and the author of the new book called The Dream-Centered Life. And if the whole dream thing and dream center theme sounds familiar, it's because it's Luke Barnett, son of Tommy Barnett. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Glad to meet you because, I've talked to Matthew. I've, of course, known your dad for, a long time. But I hadn't had a chance to meet you.
Well, you've heard it said, I think Jesus said, you've seen the Son, you've seen the Father.
Yeah,
right?
Well, with you, that's like really true because you favor him so heavily.
I've heard that about 10 times walking in the studio today.
Have you?
Yeah.
That's great. Well, we're glad to have you. You are talking about dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Give us a little bit of the overview of sort of what you're trying to put an emphasis on.
Sure. Well, I just really believe that, life really doesn't begin until you receive a God-sized dream. And for many years in my ministry life, I kind of lived my life on a secondhand revelation from God.
On your dad's?
Yeah, just watched how he did life and
easy to do. I get that.
Ministry, and it was very effective. It was a ministry built on reaching out to the poor and the hurting, and God honored that. So when I became a pastor, I just did what Dad did.
Yeah.
And we always saw addition, but I always wondered why we never saw that great surge, that multiplication that I saw happening other places in the world. And so I lived much of my ministry life that way, just doing what Dad did, just doing what Mom did.
Which was good. I mean, he was
wonderful.
He was doing wonderful things.
And God honored it.
Yeah.
I think God honors obedience. I think He'll honor a secondhand revelation. But I just don't think you enjoy the journey until you get a firsthand revelation from God.
Yeah.
And when I became the pastor of what was then Phoenix First Assembly, the church my dad pastored, my dad had a heart valve repair, and so he went under the knife, and he was out for 8 months. And at that time, I was executive pastor. And so I stepped in and led the church, and God began to bless it. And I led that way for 2 years. Well, finally, my dad said, it's time for you to become the senior pastor. And so we did the whole church vote, and I became the senior pastor. At that moment, I sensed in my life for the first time this oppression or depression that fell upon my life. And I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't have the vocabulary at the time to really describe what was happening, but I needed a dream. I needed a fresh revelation, a fresh vision from God. And our church had always been led by a man who had a fresh revelation from God. Yeah. I didn't have that, and I knew it. And so I did the only thing I knew how to do. As a boy, I watched my dad climb the mountain behind our church every day, and there was a little plateau halfway up the church mountain there where he would pray and he would seek God and look over the city and get fresh revelation from God for the future of the church. So I watched my dad do that as a boy, so I said, work for Dad, I'm going to do the same thing. So I climbed up that mountain for 40 straight days in the morning and spent an hour with God every day. I also went on a 40-day Daniel fast, ate nothing but bird seeds and twigs, and leaves for 40 days, and nothing from an animal, But I really wanted to hear, from God. And He laid out 5 things that we were supposed to accomplish as a church in the next 10 years. It's interesting, that was in 2013. I found out that our church was going to be 100 years old in the year 2023. So 10 years from that point,
right.
And so I felt God saying, this is what's going to happen at the church in the next 10 years. Just real quick, the first thing was that we are going to reach 50,000 people with the gospel of Jesus Christ. And that would be translated, number 2, into a multi-site church. At the time, we had one campus, beautiful campus, auditorium that seats 5,000 people, But the vision I saw was to go geographically and spread the gospel to different communities and cities all over Arizona. And these days, this is what we're saying. We're saying that why can't there be one state in America that's known for being a Christian state? I mean, there's states known for being Mormon states, Utah. Yeah. California is known for entertainment. Texas known for oil and millionaires, and
really, I missed the millionaire part.
New York is known for commerce. Why can't there be one state in America that's known for we're being a Christian state. So that's our dream, is to plant a church in every city of Arizona and do our part to help reach our state.
Halfway through, how's that going?
You know, it's going really amazing. We're 4 years into that dream now.
Right.
And we've gone from one campus to now 4 campuses citywide. We're baptizing over 2,000 people in water every single year. So a lot of people are finding the Lord. The third thing that God showed me in the mountain was that we're going to become the arts hub of Arizona.
Okay.
And we're going to revive the hearts and redeem the arts.
Well, that's a fun one.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, the arts really began in the church world.
Yeah,
And so we were already pretty good at that, because we do the Christmas production every year. 75,000 people attend our Christmas production, over
cool.
17 performances. So our arts department said, why don't we do a summer musical every year, like a Broadway musical? And so 4 years ago, we began doing a summer musical, and we just finished up The Little Mermaid, the whole Broadway production right on our stage.
Really?
And right at 8,500 people bought tickets for the production. It's the biggest thing going in the state of Arizona. We literally have become the arts hub of Arizona.
How did a secular Broadway show go over with, you know, certain generation of the church?
That's a great question. You know, some people had issues with it, but let me tell you what the whole dream behind it was. You know, the church is always saying we need to do something to reach out to the LGBTQ community. We need to do something to reach them. And we're thinking, well, everybody says that, but no one's really doing anything to do about it.
Yeah.
And so for our summer musical, not our Christmas production, our summer musical, we have open auditions.
Oh.
And so we have people who are a lot different than us coming in.
Yes, you do.
And they're auditioning. We're building relationships with people that we would never have a voice with ever in our lifetime. And the examples and the testimonies of what God is doing in their lives. We have testimonies of people finding the Lord, getting divorces now. They were married for 20-some years, getting divorces because they say that we can't go on serving Jesus.
Yeah, same-sex marriage divorces.
Yeah. That's correct. And so, you know, there are people who have issues with that, but it's really nothing new to us. When we were going out and busing people in off the streets for years, people said, why are you doing that? Right. You know, we just try to, the method changes, but the message never, ever changes.
Okay, there you go. Dr. A.R. Bernard, brilliant man out of New York, sat there and he said that grace allows us to get into people's world, and truth brings them out of the sin, right?
Yeah.
So I hear what you're saying. You're saying, you know what, we're going to have some grace, and we're going to let some people into our church and even on our stage and participate and rub shoulders with us that, you know, are far from God. But then we're going to preach the truth with them to bring them closer to God.
Well, it's really about having a big Matthew party. Remember Matthew? And one day he thought about all his buddies that were still, you know, his accounting buddies who were still out there in the world. He threw a party at his house and had them all gather together, invited Jesus and the disciples over to rub shoulders with them. And he's praying and hoping that some spiritual sparks will fly, you know, during the party. Then who comes in? Well, the Pharisees come in and put their finger in Jesus' face and say, how can you claim to be God's son and still hang out with people like this?
Right.
And, you know, I believe, I thought about that story a lot. I believe at the end of that party, the Pharisees came in and messed the party up. And they finally left, you know, and the party got good again. You know?
Right.
But I believe that Jesus kind of walked Matthew out at the end.
Cool. What are your last 2 points real quick?
Yeah. The last two things I saw on that mountain were, number one, it was that we were going to finish up our auditorium. We never had a lobby, a big area for community. So we built on a 20,000 square foot beautiful front to our church, and then an 1.5 acre power parasol, which is an outdoor shade structure for an outdoor lobby. Just an amazing addition to our church.
It's a big hangout place.
Yeah, it was an $8 million project done debt-free in just 4 years for the glory of God.
That's cool.
And the last thing that we said was we're going to be debt-free by the year 2023. All 5 of those things that God downloaded in my spirit are in full swing. That they're moving forward.
Very cool.
And I want to tell you that it's been the single most supernatural season of my life, because, like I said earlier, It's awesome to have a secondhand revelation from God, but you really start to enjoy life and ministry when you get that firsthand revelation, that fresh revelation from God.
That's the message in the book, The Dream Centered Life, how you can get that fresh revelation of God for your life to revolutionize it and the lives of those around you. You can pick up the book online locations right now, so check into that. And Luke, tell us the website for people that are interested maybe in your church or things that are going on with you.
Yeah, it's dreamcitychurch.us.
Okay.
www.dreamcitychurch.us.
Do you put your sermons up there?
We do.
Yeah.
They're streamed, and you can watch it live as well during our services.
Excellent. Join the message, join the service, check out some of the messages because there's some great things going on right there. And you can actually hear a little bit more from Luke if you want to on the Life Today program, the broadcast show. It's available at lifetoday.org. Thank you for watching and sharing this interview. Be sure to check out the social media for Life Today Television, and you can connect with me on Facebook and Twitter. And if you haven't already subscribed or followed this channel, do it now so you can see more of our great guests.